It is the SHW Off-Road Daily Drop. I am Jake Tillman. If you've been here before, I'm sorry, it's me again. If you haven't been here before, thanks for joining us. Okay, we do this every single day. We drop little knowledge bombs and tips and tricks all about vehicle-based adventure travel, okay, on the SHW Off-Road channel. So like, subscribe, comment, let us know what you want to hear. But today we're going to talk about snatch straps versus kinetic ropes versus toe straps. Three very different tools in your tool chest, and you should really know the difference. And I think I'm going to cover, if you can only have one, which one should you probably have. I'll talk about that in a second here. But we're going to start off, we're going to go one by one, starting with toe straps. Toe straps, number one, they're used for towing. They're not meant for recovery for a number of different reasons. Usually they have hooks on the end. These hooks are not great for tugging on vehicles in a recovery situation. The hooks, they come free pretty easy. They're usually an open hook. They're not super strong. They're not meant to get momentum to try to pull a vehicle out of a hole. Okay, so they have a hook on an end. They don't store much kinetic energy at all, right? So they're super, super hard in the force that they kind of transmit from vehicle to vehicle. What that means is it's much harder force on your vehicle recovery points. They have a much higher rate of failure because of how jarring some of these forces are, right? There's no kinetic energy being stored that you can use to your advantage. So you see a lot of these things when people try to use a toe strap for as a snatch strap or a kinetic rope. You see a lot of breaks. You see some injuries and stuff like that. So again, toe straps are used to tow a vehicle. They're not a recovery strap. Number two, snatch straps. Snatch straps have been around a while. They are kind of the traditional kinetic strap, if you will. They're flat woven. They've got stitched in ends. They store kinetic energy, usually up to about 30% stretch is what they have. There are some pros and cons to this. The pros, it's way better than a toe strap at recovering a vehicle. Right, it's when you pull it, it stretches, and then that kinetic energy can help pull the stuck vehicle towards, theoretically, the vehicle that is trying to pull it out. And so you're using kinetic energy to your advantage. It's much softer on the vehicle. It is much softer on you. It usually is safer than like a toe strap. There are some problems with snatch straps, which is why I think, I don't have like proof around this, but I think kinetic ropes, which we're going to talk about in a second, kinetic ropes are kind of came about because of some of the shortcomings of snatch straps, which I'm going to talk about in a second. But before we dive into that, let me show you what a snatch strap looks like. So again, flat woven, stitched in end, and they come in different stretches. They come in different load capacities, different dimensions and stuff like that. We juxtapose that to a toe strap, which I talked about earlier. Again, they've got hooks on the end usually. They store almost zero kinetic energy. There's no stretch to them. Okay, they're not meant for stretch. They're meant to tow a vehicle and not recover them. Okay, so our third is a kinetic rope. Kinetic rope is a wound rope. It's different than a snatch strap. It's not a flat woven strap. It is a round rope. Typically they have more stretch than a snatch strap. They can typically snatch more. They stretch more. They're softer in their pull. They also usually have a longer life than snatch straps, just the way that they're woven. Due to physics and just design engineering and the way that kinetic ropes age and handle abuse and stretching, I think they have a longer usage life than a snatch strap. Recovery kinetic straps do have a lifespan. You can only use them so much until they the material itself starts to give way and break, because it's meant to stretch, right? You can only stretch so much and so many times. So you have to be careful. Another thing that I didn't talk about in snatch straps that is true for both of them and kinetic ropes, it's important to match your rope to your vehicle weight rating, right? So if you get a kinetic rope that's rated for like, semis or really, really heavy trucks, it's not going to stretch in a lighter vehicle, right? So buy one that is suited for what you're doing, and usually there's a lot of forgiveness there, right? You can, I wouldn't get too caught up in like weight ratings and stretch and stuff like that, because there's a lot of forgiveness there. Just don't go out and buy the biggest kinetic rope you can because you want the strongest one. It's not going to stretch and work to your advantage. But that aside, typically kinetic ropes, they have more stretch in a snatch strap. They offer a softer recovery. There's less stress to your vehicle. Perhaps most important though, they have stronger ends. Their ends, instead of being stitched in, they're woven. And so they can take much more abuse. They have a lower failure rate than snatch straps. And this is one of those things that I think people saw the shortcoming of a snatch strap and they decided to solve with a kinetic rope, right? This is a big failure point on a snatch strap, is the stitched in likes to give way, which is why you should really be using soft shackles or closed winch systems with it. No hooks or anything like that. With any of these kinetic ropes, no hooks, right? Because you got all that stored kinetic energy. When something lets go, it's gonna be ugly. So got to be careful, buy the right gear. But there are a few things that over time, people just saw wrong with a snatch strap. And so I think the kinetic rope is a bit of an evolution over a snatch strap. Some people might disagree with me here, but I think a lot of people at this point agree that a kinetic rope does the job a little better than a snatch strap in most cases, right? There are obviously some cases maybe that's not the case, but if I had one, if I had to have just one of these in my bag, it'd probably be the kinetic rope. I don't tow vehicles a lot, and if I had to tow the kinetic rope, I probably could. It would be a little difficult with the stretch involved and stuff, but I find myself much more often doing recoveries, and for the most for most situations, the kinetic rope does the best job when it comes to off-road recovery. So there you go. There's my take. You've learned the difference between a kinetic rope, a snatch strap or snatch rope, and a tow strap. If you have questions or something to add, let us know. Drop a comment below. Reach out to us. Otherwise, thanks again for watching today. We'll see you next time, and have a great weekend.